What's going on, my people? YouTube Purifier, Sufferer here from server 26, and Angel Lionheart once again live with another video, and this will probably be the last video I do for today because last video I just did BG, I immensely sucked. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, like, I just straight up sucked. Like, it was just, it was just horrible. Absolutely horrendous, and I still need 3 more arena runs, but I'll get that at some point. But yes, and again, shout out to my boy Soul here for absolutely slashing me in two and making me his puppet on a stick. I'll put it that way. I probably also beat you because your rank thing is lower than mine. My intensity and tenacity helped for sure. No joke. Okay, so this was the video I'd been saying I'd been wanting to do, and this is going to be strictly based around Sylphs. Since we have all 6 now, we have Iris, Hades, Pan, Amazon Queen, Eve, and my boy Apollo. So we're going to go through all the Sylphs, all the skills, the do's and don'ts, what you should go with and what you shouldn't go with, depending if you're cash heavy. If you're cash heavy, you definitely want Apollo. I've went through Hades skills, and I'm absolutely disgusted how they did my boy. Like, I will let the stuff speak for itself. So, right here, here's all the stats. Upgrade is where, of course, you go to dump your Mara in to increase the stats and stuff of your said self. Well, rarity is stats. And then your main stats with the Sepulchrum is enchant, of course. Then you have the stats. And here's another thing they added in, which is actually nice, but it's actually kind of at the same time, because you know how you used to have your Sylph grow with you? Literally, you had to enchant all your level up your Sylphs individually. Here in this system, they basically capped it to where all your Sylphs are the same level as you. So whatever level you are, your Sylph is. So therefore, you're not doing all the heavy grinding, leveling up all Sylphs individually. And of course, the magic attack stats is almost 5,000, physical defense 2,000, magic defense, yada yada yada. Here's all the stats for Apollo. Decent as could be. Stats for Eve. I mean, Eve has always been heavy, but they kind of nerfed her a little bit. But these are her stats when she's a blue rarity 1. And then green rarity 1 for Amazon Queen. I would say decent stats. And of course, this is Pan. Pan isn't really more of a physical beat stick. He's more of a tank that just says screw you and gives you a miserable day. And that's green rarity. Green rarity Hades. I went from common to green. And let me tell you, these stats are a little more decent than Pan's even, which is actually a little bit retarded. Again. And if I offend anybody with that word, I apologize. It used to offend me immensely. But you know what? It is what it is. Also, here's the attributes to each self, and even explains it in detail. Physical attack equals 1.8 times the strength times strength aptitude, which plus 1,000. Oh. And I'm yet to go to sleep, and it's 1:30, and I've been up since 11 o'clock last night because midnight shifts kind of messed with my body clock. And then you have Iris for a white rarity 1, decent, I guess, stats-wise. But then again, Iris has always been more of the tank, so not more of an offensive approach. But we're going to look over the skills even and compare. Actually, here's also where you go to upgrade and enchant your gear. Those Sylph crystals that you use to upgrade your gear, we had 5 of them. Or actually, no, we got a bunch from that. So we're going to start enchanting the gear a little bit, see what we get. Ooh, physical defense. I like that. I like that. I like that. So we can either keep enchanting that or keep enchanting 5 for each. So each set of gear actually gives us something worthwhile. Okay, so this is already... Wait, that was already... Okay, yeah, so that was already plus. So we'll enchant that next. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we get more health. Okay, so that's a plus. And then we'll go to this last belt right here. Go up 5 or attempt to. And we may have to recycle some gear because it kind of just has to happen if we can make it work. If we can get enough of what we need... Okay, that's not going to be enough, so I'm not even going to mess with it. So, cancel out on that. So, that's how you do that. How you used to need the glitter and the dust to enchant your gear. You just need the Sylph crystals to enchant your gear. And this is what I was talking about with the perks. So, when you see the icon, it basically gives a perk to Shining Strike to where it gets plus 5% more damage. So... once the gear has reached full enchantment, I'm assuming that's when it can increase from rare to epic, being purple, and then legendary, which is orange. So there is that. And then you have the skills. Learn skills, you get a random skill. Replace if skills are full. So you can either charge this with your balance or your bound balance. So here's all the skills for right now. Shining Strike deals 170% magic damage. Its cooldown is just 1 second, of course, so you can just constantly be beating on somebody relentlessly just because you can. And plus, that's the easiest skill you can get out to use. And I actually, as I'd said, I've been thinking about switching skills up with Apollo and make him more of a tank healer, so to speak. And then you have the Beam Sword, deals 140% light damage to 2 random enemies. In which case, actually, but that gives heals, increase your crit rate. Actually, you know what? I think I might switch out Light Arrow for Beam Sword because Beam Sword, less of a cooldown time, and it deals 5% more damage. And Light Arrow, it just increases your crit rate by 30%, which... actually isn't really a loss, if that. So, all the things I said learn, we're just going to go over what we can learn. Heavenly Body, you dispel a debuff, restores 10% of your max health upon each action for 3 turns. So, it's like a Suntoria with a dispel effect to it. Helios Blessing gains a shield that can absorb damage equal to 20% of your max health and becomes crit immune in the last 3 turns. So basically you're immune from taking crit damage. And restores 20... Holy Vow restores 20% of your max health to yourself, dispels 2 debuffs, and increases your block rate by 30% last 3 turns. So, actually, you know what? Yeah, I think we're just going to do that because... ew, no, no, and no. So we're going to forget Ray. And then this is actually how you do the skills. So we're going to switch that out for Holy Vow. And get 22 out of this. And then we'll learn ew, no, 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 and no. So, yeah, I'll put Holy Vow in there. So that way, we can at least get some health back and dispels debuffs and gives us a block rate by 30%. So we can make ourselves a little tankier because I'm tired of just using one heal skill when I can just go Sylph mode and get myself an extra heal in. And while I'm thinking about it, take out Light Arrow. Oh yeah, I need 30 to forget it. So I'm choking. I'm dying. Not literally, just metaphorically speaking. Beam sword right there. Learn by paying 120 bound balance. We can learn beam sword. Okay, so that's going to be the skills from now on. So we already read those. Tell me how this makes sense. Delphic Sword Judgment deals 330% light damage to a random enemy and increases your damage dealt by for 30%. Where Impaling Light deals 100% more damage, 120% more damage than a Delphic. How the frick did a regular Sylph skill override that of a Delphic? The Delphic deals the most damage. I'm just extremely confused. So therefore, deals 450% damage, and it cannot be blocked. So yes, this is a very OP skill that he has. Impaling Light is a must to have on your Apollo. Divine Prayer deals 200 light damage to all enemies, dispels one buff, and decreases their damage by 20% for 3 turns. Which is actually absolute bullcrap, because Divine Prayer used to boost the damage by 20%. Now they nerfed that skill to where instead of dealing damage, it decreases the damage they deal to you by 20%, which is absolutely BS, but again, that's just my opinion. Radiant Soul, passive skill. This is just my preference of what I do, because the other passive gives you plus 30 extra awakening for your teammates in their Sylphs. So to speak, you could have 90 extra, so to speak, rage with your Sylph in Sylph mode if each of you have that specific assigned passive skill. Excuse me. So, anyway, Radiant Soul, upon action, reduce a random enemy's crit rate by 10%, lasts 3 turns, and stacks up for 3 times. Master of Light. When dealing damage, decrease the target's block rate by 10% for 3 turns, and it's stackable up to 3 times. Now, Redeeming Light, when blocking an attack, decreases damage taken by 10% for 3 turns, and stackable up to 3 times. So both Radiant Soul and Redeeming Light are stackable skills. Now, normal skills, when it's in its regular mode, it increases your magic defense by plus 5%, which, of course, that is when it's active and not active, so to speak. So, you get an extra magic defense boost, which is absolutely kind of redundant for mage, because that's all you focus on is magic defense for mages, so they are not weak against each other. Then Lightspeed Fist deals 330% plus 110 magic light damage to a single front row enemy. Damage ignores the defense and cannot be blocked. That's just when it's in its excuse me, normal mode, and it does its normal attacks. Solar Vindication increases a random ally's block rate by 20% for 3 turns. So, excuse me, this basically is a self-buff for you, which therefore makes Apollo the best Sylph to use when you're wanting to basically buff yourself up. So, he's definitely the best Sylph out of all the 6. If you want my honest opinion on this topic, Apollo, hands down, is the best of them all. Next we have is Eve, the Electro Sylph. Thundering Strike deals 170% electric damage to a single front row target. Its cooldown is 1 second. Roll of Thunder deals 110% magic damage to a random enemy and gains a charge effect. Gains a charge effect, increases the damage dealt by 20% for 3 turns, and stackable up to 3 attacks, which is actually not bad. And then you have Jupiter's Wrath, which of course it used to be, once used, you can make your opponent forget a certain skill for so many turns. They nerfed this. And what they replaced it with is deal 180% electro magic damage to a to a random enemy and gains an electric effect. Electrified increases the crit rate by 20% and it's stackable for 3 turns, which you're increasing your own crit rate, of course. The passive, when dealing crit damage, increase your weight points. Excuse me, I need a drink because apparently I am parched. Hold that thought. Pepsi helps. Apparently I am dying. If I die before this video ever uploads, just know I love all you guys. No, sorry. Sorry. Cows, not. What the crap? Okay, I think I'm good. Now, Jupiter's Blessing. Increase the crit damage by 30% and crit rate and damage by 30% for 3 turns. Which case, Jupiter's Blessing, actually, that is the same thing it had back in Hall of Heroes, if I remember correctly, because I remember one of them did increase the crit and the damage altogether, so they kept that. Thunder Ablution generates a shield of 20% of max health for yourself, increases the damage dealt by 25%. And it lasts 3 turns, of course, and they kept the same effects as that. Now, the main skills, Delphic Thunder Wave, 240 electro damage to 2 random enemies. Not 1, not 3, but 2. So, therefore, they majorly... They just BS the crap out of Eve right now, because Eve is actually broken as a magic-based Sylph. I'm not going to lie when I say that. And of course, Short Circuit. This is the classic. Everybody used it. Everybody still uses it. Deal 105% electro magic damage to all enemies and gains a charge effect. Charge effects increases your damage dealt by 20% for 3 turns and is stackable up to 3 stacks. Now, therefore, I don't know, 105%, you would think it just targets a single enemy, so that would make sense. That's just one random, a rando. Yeah, okay, I guess that does kind of make sense. But then again, you can also generate a shield for your health and increases your damage by 25%. Yeah, these two really aren't even worth putting in there, because Short Circuit, of course, is meant to deal damage to everybody, so that pretty much used to be. Short Circuit used to hit only the front row targets. Now it's an AoE attack on everyone, or everything, so therefore Short Circuit is definitely a must if you want to play with Eve. Shock Chain, 2 random targets. Okay, so 2... Oh, yeah, okay, so yeah. It hits 2 enemies for 270% electric damage. Its electrified effect stacks, increases your crit rate by 20% for 3 turns, and it's stackable up to 3 stacks. So 3 turns, it basically stacks up to keep you dealing more chance of critical damage. Thunderstrike, it's a single target, unfortunately. Deals 250% electric damage to a single enemy and dispels 1 buff from the target. So it's pretty much an archer that's nerfed and can only take off 1 buff, which is actually not too bad. Flash Storm. That used to only hit 1 person. Same with Thunderstrike. Thunderstrike only hits 1. Flash Storm hits everybody. Not just 1, not 2, but 3. Originally, Flash Storm, everyone remembers, it only hit 1 person. It would never hit everybody. So this is where they gave a little boost to this. Flash Storm deals 240% electric damage to everybody. And you get... Okay. So, crit rate 20% for 3 turns, stackable up to 3 stacks. So, yeah. Static Field, of course, that's another popular one when dealing damage. 15% chance to reduce the target's crit rate by 20%. Last 2 turns. Passive, Master of Thunder, crit rate plus 15%. So, of course, you get a 15% boost to or crit rate. And then your Unstoppable Voltage, again, that's another popular one. Upon action, it stacks 3 times for 3 turns, and your crit rate increases by 5% for each 3. Oh my gosh, you're dumb to ask that. Well, I did not expect my, work to be doing that. But yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm not wanting people to be texting me when I'm frickin' doing these videos. Okay, so anyway, oh yeah, I forgot to do this. Lightning's Roar increased the player's attack by 5% when active, so of course you get a 5% damage boost regardless. Shock deals 300% plus 100 magic electric damage to a single target, ignores the defenses cannot be blocked, yada yada. Chain Lightning increases the random ally increases random allies damage dealt by... Oh, okay, yeah, so that is definitely one you would want to use if you're a DPS knight and if you play as archer for sure. If you just want to troll and basically use Eve for when you do world boss or whatever for more gold. Next we have Amazon Queen. Normal skills, Fury of Fire increases the player's attack by 5% when active. Okay, so you get a 5% damage boost. That's nice. Okay, same thing. Conflagration increases a random enemy's target taken. Oh, so it increases the damage they take by 15%. So that would involve the skills it knows. So Burning Strike deals 170% physical damage to a random single target. Dragon Blast deals 180% physical fire damage to 2 random enemies. Delphic Vulcan's Judgment now deals 400% damage to a random enemy and dispels 2 buffs from them, the target. So therefore, it's basically an archer debuff with a major hurt you for the most part. And then the passive, Scorching Shield, 15% chance to increase damage dealt by 30% when taking damage, and it lasts 3 turns. So the other skills are Consuming Flames. Oh my gosh, can you guys? Okay, so Consuming Flames deals 100% fire damage to an enemy, the front enemy, and it gains a burn effect to where burn receives 40% physical damage when taking action, so it's basically a bleed. And lasts for 3 turns, and it's stackable for 5 stacks. That is absolutely terrifying. And it hits 2 targets, 1 target. Oh, it's a random target. Okay, so you need to be very particular when using that. Okay, so Infernal Inflammation it's mainly a single hit. So 140% fire damage, that's physical, and inflict molten armor, which is basically the burn. That's stackable up to 3 times, and it increases your damage taken by 10%. So they are really getting hurt in that aspect. Damage dealt 5% for each action, lasts 3 turns, stacks up to 3 times for Fire's Might passive. Devouring Lava, which is also still immensely used, and it hits the front row target, or targets. Deals 230% to enemies in the... Oh, okay, yeah, so it hits everybody that's in the front row. So say if you're doing arena and they're all lined up together, they are all getting hit. So, yeah, I'd be very careful with this. And it does have a burn effect to where it increases the damage taken by 10% for 3 turns. So this and Infernal Inflammation are each other's bread and butter. You use this, you use that, and then you just hit them with a frickin' Delphic because you just can. And then Blistering Flame deals 225 physical fire damage to an enemy and receive 40% physical damage when taking action, lasting 3 turns and stackable up to 5 times. So basically, this Sylph just straight up burns you every time it hits you. It hits you with a debuff to where you're getting hit for extra damage percentage, and you can then hit real freaking hard with a Delphic, or you can just constantly burn them to death, which is actually very dirty, but it's actually very well known and very tactical to use. And Master of Flames, 15% chance to increase the awakening points by 50 when taking damage. So this basically makes sure you keep regaining awakening points, which is absolutely bullcrap. Spirit of Fire, you get 7% extra damage. Good Lord Almighty. Alright, and Firestorm, this hits everybody. I think this and Devouring Lava are the only two that hits everybody, which is actually very crazy. Deals 145% physical damage with a burn effect. Receive 40% physical damage when taking action lasting 3 turns, and it's stackable up to 5 times, which is actually nice. Vulcan's Blessing. Dispel 2 debuffs and increase damage dealt by 30%, which lasts 5 turns. That is actually very broken. I think they increased the percentage of that, because I think the old one used to last 3 turns. So now it lasts 5, and the old one never used to dispel debuffs. And it just gave you a damage increasement, which is absolutely crazy. On to Sticks. On yourself or steal. Okay, so you're gaining health and reducing the damage you take by 25%. So that's basically a health increasement plus a negative percent, or not negative percent. Well, negative for them because they're only dealing 20% less damage to you. So that's pretty much your shield for 3 turns. Now my favorite, Pan. Increases your health by 5%, which, of course, if you're a knight, yeah, you would want to use Pan just to be tanky. Whistling Blow, it's normal attack. And then you have Cyclone, deals damage of 1% max health to a random enemy and dispels 1 buff. So he's basically a walking screw you. So his Delphic, Apocalyptic Hurricane. Oh, that's wonderful. Basically, Pan is a walking archer on steroids for the most part, because all his attacks pretty much just debuff people, which is absolutely hilarious, I think. And then Wind's Grace deals wind damage to 2 random targets. Apocalyptic Hurricane gets everybody. It's still the same, thankfully. And dispels 1 buff from a target. Wind's Grace. Gust Strike dispels 1 buff, so you're constantly making somebody lose a buff, and it deals damage of 1% of their health to a random enemy. Breath Shield passive. When attacked, there is a 10% chance to increase block rate by 30% for 3 turns. So this is pretty much your skill that keeps you tanky for the most part. Now, his other skills. Breeze Blade deals 180% physical wind damage to a single target and dispels 1 buff. Of course, it hits the back row enemy. Okay, but if you're in the front, it really don't matter, so it just hits 1 random target. Airy Guardian generates a shield of 35% of your max health last 3 turns. Once again, if you're a knight, that's your best. This is your best friend right here, is Pan. Spirit of Wind, when taking action, increases the block rate by 10% for 3 turns. And it is stackable. Master of Wind, the block rate, you increase your block rate by 15. Once again, if you're a knight, he is your best friend. Wind's Breath, when you block damage, increase your waking points by 20. Aquilian's Lament, deal 200% physical damage to a single target with the lowest health. And with the lowest health percentage, and you dispel their buffs by 2. So you dispel 2 more buffs on top of that. So once again, as I said, Pan is literally a walking archer on steroids, which every skill he has debuffs you. And by you, I mean the opposing player. So therefore, yeah, he's definitely good. Windcrest affects everybody, reduces the damage for your teammates and you by 30%, and increases y'all's block rate by 30% for 3 turns. Steel! Oh, I love that skill. It still affects everybody. Steals 500 awakening points to increase you and your teammates. I'm glad they kept that. I'm glad they didn't nerf that. That is an amazing skill to use, but it's horrible if you're the one on the receiving end. So it decreases your damage taken by 30% for 3 turns. And undispellable. Yeah, that would suck if you went up against an archer that thought they could use that. Aquilian's Blessing, I knew there was a reason I always use that. And then Whispering Wind, increase all teammates' damage dealt by 30%, and it lasts 5 turns. So you can either go with a tanky route to where Pan doesn't even use a single attack skill and you're just buffing you and your team, and you're stealing rage, or you could go the offensive route and use the offensive skills that dispels the buffs on your opponent, which is actually really freaking nice. Alright, I think I'll save Hades for last because he's the one that gets the most crap talk. It's horrible. Water's Restoration increases your physical and magic defense by 3% when active. So again, if you're wanting to be a tank knight that heals, definitely go for Iris. Or if you just want to be a major troll as a healing mage with a healing Iris, Iris is definitely the one who you want. For sure. Okay, Borealis Dance. Yeah. And then Icicle Storm restores 1% of max health to the teammate with the lowest health percentage and dispels 1 debuff. So, that's nice. So, back to her skills. Archeon Wave, however you pronounce that, deals 240% magic damage to all enemies and dispels 1 buff from the targets. So, it's basically, again, an archer that only does 1 debuff. And then Deluge Strike, which is the most common starter attack skill for water magic damage. And then you have the single heal, which is Warm Spring, restores 85% magic damage to the teammates with the lowest health percentage, especially yourself. Upon action, 15% chance to restore 10% of max health to the teammate with the lowest health percentage. Ocean Mirror, that's actually real good. Ice Armor restores health of 55% to all teammates and dispels 2 debuffs. Spirit Wall, upon action, reduces damage reduced by 5%, lasts 3 turns, it's stackable up to 3 times. Rain Dance restores health of 60% magic damage to all teammates, plus targets restore 5% of max health upon action for 3 turns. So it basically is like Apollo's shield for Apollo, or Helio shield, Apollo shield, whatever you want to call it. It's basically that, but it affects your whole team and not just yourself, which is actually really nice. So Iris is pretty much the cousin to Apollo in a sense, or like a kissing cousin, so to speak. I need to hurry because I'm getting real tired. So yeah, there's that. Master Water, damage received minus 7%, so you take 7% less damage, which is nice. Water's Heart reduces the awakening points and decreases the rate by 25 points every 3 seconds after. So, Water's Heart just keeps you in a constant Sylph mode from the looks of it. Tsunami, again, that's a very popular skill, deals 150% magic damage to all enemies and dispels 1 debuff from a teammate, and with the lowest health percentage. So again, it just mainly affects people that have the lowest health for some of her healing skills and her healing buffs, so to speak. And Ice Shield, and once again, Iris is pretty much the same concept as Pan. You can make her very tanky to where all she does is buff and heal, doesn't attack whatsoever. Or you can make her to where she only knows the 2 heals and she just wails on you with Tsunami, Ice Bolt, and Archeon Wave, and so forth. So Ice Shield generates a damage absorbing shield for a front row teammate to absorb damage equal to 30% of the target's max health that lasts 3 turns. Ice Bolt! Ugh. Only hits a single target. Deals 300% magic water damage to the enemy with the lowest health percentage. And that's all we got. Neptune's Blessing restores 20% of your max health. Takes no crit damage for 3 turns. But that can be dispelled, unfortunately, unlike Aquilian's Blessing, In which case, Pan is still the reigning champ and is the only Sylph that cannot have his skill debuffed from him, which is absolutely hilarious. And Water Spirit, lastly, enables all teammates to dodge a deadly strike that lasts 3 turns. So, yeah. Iris is not meant to be a damage-based Sylph. If so, you're absolutely crazy for sure. Especially if you're a knight and you're wanting to support people as Iris. That's actually the way to go with this. But you guys build your Sylphs however you want. I'm just the informer that gives you the skills and what you could go for and so forth. And this is just the Sylph guide to go with. Lastly, Hades. Poor Hades. I feel so sorry for you. Tark Pact increases the player's physical defense by 5% when active. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fine and dandy. And then Darting Shadows. That's just its normal attack. Oh, okay. Huh. Him and Apollo both deal the same amount of damage. That's funny. And then the Serrated Barbs increases the random ally's crit rate by 20% for 3 turns. So again, I guess Hades could still be used with a heavy crit build, mainly archers. That's just my opinion. But you guys are going to see where they absolutely butchered the crap out of Hades, which is... It's horrible. Like, Hades isn't really worth using. Devour Soul, the most iconic skill, deals 200% dark physical damage to an enemy in the front row target and restores 15% of your max health. Okay, that's pretty much the same as it's always been. Endless Engulf Delphic, deal 180% damage to all enemies when inflicts a blight effect. The blight effect receives 140% physical damage when taking action. It lasts 2 turns, stackable up to 3 times. So therefore, it hits everybody and it puts a bleed like it used to. But if you guys recall, Endless Engulf used to deal a double. It was either a double or a triple amount of damage hits, like how Sword of Judgment used to do the triple. They nerfed both of those. So Hades got the nerf and Apollo's Delphic both got the nerf, which is absolutely bullcrap. Again, why this Sylph is just horrible. Deals 170% physical dark damage to a random front row enemy, of course. And then your Dementia, upon action, reduces a random enemy's block rate by 10%, lasts 3 turns, and stacks up to 3 times. So 3 turns. So now going on to Sinister Rot. This skill used to only be a bleed, but they turned it into an actual skill that hits you. So it deals 120% dark damage to a random enemy and decreases the healing received by the target by 20% for 3 turns, and it's stackable up to 3 times. Okay, that's nothing too impressive. Haunt. Deal 110% physical dark damage to all enemies and dispels 1 buff from targets. Haunt never used to do that. It used to only dispel... Haunt used to only dispel buffs from people. It never used to deal damage, so that's what they added in for Haunt, which I'm kind of mixed on, because Haunt used to dispel, I think, 2 skills and not 1, so they nerfed that. I don't like that. And the passive for Abyss Shield. Chance to receive a crit. To receive crit minus 15%. So Abyssal Shield is basically Enhanced Guardian Angel built in. So that's iffy. Upon action, reduces all enemies' awakening points by 30. Yeah, that's dirty for sure. Devil's Gaze deals 250% damage to a random enemy and dispels 1 buff from the target. Inflict Blight, which is basically the bleed effect of 140% physical damage when taking action. Stacks up to 3 times and lasts 2 turns. So, if everybody remembers, Devil's Gaze was the one skill you never wanted to see when you were fighting Hades back in Hall of Heroes. For those of you that are new to this game and you've never played a single day of Hall of Heroes or the original PC Reborn, Devil's Gaze was the skill that basically made sure you could not... If you were a mage, you were screwed. No matter what class you were screwed, because it put a debuff on you that minused the health gain by like 50 or 60%, so you weren't even getting a full heal out of whatever you were doing. So they nerfed it and replaced it with a dispel buff from the target, which is absolutely bullcrap. Yeah, I'll give it that the damage is okay, but the fact you took away its true ability was to nerf the healers, that's not good. Like, now I do understand, even when I went over Hades before I made this video, I could see what everybody's talking about. They really, truly destroyed what Hades is meant to do. Hades was always meant to make the opposing player as miserable as possible, make them bleed, make them unable to recover quickly from healing, to where they were pretty much just dead. You put them in a corner and just went for the kill. They took that whole mechanic away from Hades. Like, I don't understand why Seven Road did that. Like, they pretty much destroyed the most iconic and most popular Sylph of all of the 6. Literally, Hades was the best, and now he's pretty much just there. Okay, so Orcus Blessing reduces all enemies' block rate by 50% and increases your own damage by 25%. That's actually not even worth using either. And this is where I'm teed off. They took away the damage boost from Apollo and replaced him with that nitty-gritty reduce your opponent's crit rate or whatever by 20%. So, like, here, you could see they just replaced it with a reduce their damage by 20% instead of increasing their damage by 20%. So, this is where I'm teed off. Deals 190% dark damage to all enemies and increases the target's damage taken by 20% for 3 turns. Now, how the frick do you nerf this used to be amazing god tier Sylph of dark, demented destruction, apocalyptic screw you, and nerfed the frick out of him, and then you nerf another skill on Apollo to where it increased the damage, not reduced their damage given to you. Like, this is where I'm very confused and very irritated with, because Seven Road kind of did butcher Apollo in its own sense. It made him more of an aggressive healer that can take less damage, where Hades increases damage in a sense, but you nerfed his ability to even reduce the healing on said opponent. So, as I said, like, they really screwed the pooch when they put Hades in the game and took away what he was meant to do. Or he, she, whatever, when Hades evolves into Gaia and Gaia evolves into Hecate and all this crap. Okay, so Awe deals 350% physical dark damage to a random enemy and dispels 1 buff and reduces the target's awakening points by 500. Okay, so this is pretty much the only 3 good skills. Endless Engulf is not even classified as a good skill. It is garbage at this point. Devil's Gaze, also garbage. Endless Engulf, garbage. Haunt, garbage. Sinister Rot, garbage. Literally, everything is garbage. But Harvest, Awe, and Devour Soul, because that gives you health, This steals their awakening points, and this stayed as it was supposed to, thank the good Lord, and increased their damage percentage, because Awe never used to deal that much damage, if I recall. It was like 200 something percentage, not like 300 something. So, yeah, there's that. And then Pristine Force restores 20% of max health to yourself and dispels 2 debuffs, increases your crit rate by 30% last 3 turns. And the last one, Tainted Blood. When launching a crit hit, decrease the target's crit rate by 10% for 3 turns, and stackable up to 3 stacks. So, yeah, as you guys can see, Hades just got absolutely shat on. Like, it's not even funny. Like, it's absolutely horrible. And they kept it the same. No. And you guys can see where they kept it the same. You need 10 of its main element tier, and then 1,000 star sand to refine it as well. So, and of course you need like the 500,000 gold or the 5 million gold, whatever it is, just so you can evolve it and make it immensely to where you are not doing anything. And they added something called the Convert. I'm not even sure what this is, in all honesty, but I think you're basically converting the stats over to where, okay, so if I'm reading this right, only Sylphs of the same rank can be converted, and light and dark Sylphs cannot be converted with Sylphs of the other types. When a physical damage Sylph is converted with a magic damage Sylph, their strength and intellect points will be automatically converted. So, okay, I really don't understand what that means, but if I'm understanding it correctly, it's basically you're pretty much getting the stats that they have, and you're transferring stuff to said Sylph. But anyway, guys, that's the video. That's the Sylph guide for you all. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully you found it informative. Also, one last thing before I go. Where to get the Sylph gear, because I know there was some people talking about that. Well, funny you should ask, because they added something called the Sylph campaign. Now, how it used to be in Sylph Arena, you had to do it so many times to where you had to get the shards to craft their gear. Sylph campaign, you go through different stages, and after you get through the first 10 stages, you get the green rarity gear. And once you clear a stage, you get a chest that gives you an extra chest to get a piece of that said gear. And then after pretty much every 10 stages, the rarity of the gear increases. And it takes 60 energy to do these. So right now we are at stage 18 for both. And each of these drops something different, because Shrine of Storm drops the earring, the ring, and the amulet, where the Temple of Riz drops the necklace, the accessory, and the belt. So each of these both drops one of the 3 that for the 6 pieces of gear that you need for each of your Sylphs. So we're going to be doing one, and of course you're pretty much going to be doing a boss fight regardless. So we're going to do an AFK and see if this changes anything, so to speak. Actually, no, what, screw it. We're not even going to do that. We're just going to straight up fight. Oh, I still hate my life today after what transpired. But it needed to happen just so we got a rough estimate of what was what. Okay, so you're just going to keep hitting me. I'm going to just heal back up. Sylph. Impale you because I can. That just sounded wrong. Then the Delphic. We're going to Holy Vow. Divine Prayer. And you are dead. So, there's that. Temple Bridge, stage 18 cleared. So as you guys can see, the first clearance award is a Sylph equipment chest. You get one random piece of rank A Sylph equipment, and you get a random green piece of gear, which is absolutely dumb if you ask me. So we'll go to this, fight this stage 18 boss. Oh, it's this guy. So we'll do this, a little bit of that. Oh, so you're going to burn me for about 1,500 life. That's nice. That's real cute. Because I'm about to screw your stuff up. Maybe. If I live to talk about it. We'll do the Holy Vow. I'm going to impale you. And that still sounds wrong. Like, yeah. Okay, so I can see why everybody wants that damage taken is lessened. We'll get Divine Prayer. Actually, yeah, this is the perfect way to test out the skills I switched around. And it's actually working a little bit better. Definitely a lot better than waiting 15 seconds, that's for sure. Okay, so we got an amulet, and we got a regular Sylph chest. So we'll fight the stage 19 boss just because. It would be nice if we do the Thunderer and we get the Delphic. Of course we don't. You cheap SOB. We got that. We got another Thunderer. Oh, shoot. I'll heal up a little bit. Oh, Holy Vow, because why not? Beam Sword, then Impale, because we can. And just switching between this and the Beam Sword, it actually works out pretty well. Makes the damage a little more consistent if you do it that way. Oh, that's real cute. Because guess what? I'm about to nuke you all. Wait for it. And they said their prayers. Ah, no pun intended. But yeah, that, oh, that's discouraging. Then after all this, we'll go into the inventory. No, not that. We'll go into the inventory, sort this all out. Real quick, we'll engulf this. Then go back to inventory, bulk use. We got we got 2 rank A necklaces, and I think an accessory. I think. I could be wrong. But we'll check that real quick. Go back to Sylph. Skills, equipment. Yeah, ew, that can go. Alright, so. Okay, yeah, I think, yeah, we did get another amulet. So. That affects magic attack and strength. That's actually kind of stupid. Then we don't have a belt. We got this. We got that. We got this. Oh, we got the ring too. I forgot. Yeah, we got that too. And of course we got this random necklace because why not? Okay, endurance and armor, endurance. Okay. Well, anyway, that's it for that. Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's got like a whole thing. If you guys want to pause the video at some point and read all this, I'm not going over all this. But okay, Soli, what did you say? The sacred tree is so random and so yeah, you're so right, buddy. We finally agree on that. But now Lucy actually got to level 60. Good job, buddy. Oh, where is your armor? Oh crap. What did you do? What did you do? Okay, but anyway, as I was saying, guys, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. Was the video good? Was it not good? Is there anything you'd like to see me do different, or you'd like to see me do and showcase you guys and how what to do, what not to do, and all that good stuff. But anyway, this is Purifier Sephira from server 26 of Wartune Ultra Transcend Guild GM. Take it easy. Have a good day. Have a good rest of your weekend. Best of luck, and laugh at me because I made a horrible mistake earlier, but can't take it back now since I've already committed myself to this. But till the next video, guys. Later days.